Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki C., all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Super excited to be here today with an amazing guest. Shout out to our sponsors. We have Jose Escobar with the Connected Leaders Academy. We have Top Fox, the sponsor for our Taking Off the Shades anthology coming out in 2025, as well as Noah and Julie with Breathe Capital Planning. And we have the wonderful and beautiful, fabulous Carolyn Bob Green with the university training. Super excited. Thank you guys so much for your constant support as we continue to bring real life stories here of entrepreneurs that went through the struggle but found their passion and took their mess and turned it into their message. And we bring them right here to show you that it can be done and you can do it too. If they can, you can. And this young lady that I was able to meet and blessed to have a part of, not just our Ladies of Leadership community, but our sister community in When Women Empower, as well as being able to have her hit our stage at the 2-year anniversary of Ladies of Leadership happening November 16. If you have not locked in your spot and you are not in that room, trust me, you want to get the information today and lock that in. It's going to be amazing as we are honoring every woman that steps into that room and empower them, to inspire them to make the move and become that lady boss that they are looking to become, or to even expand on all the greatness they already have. So without further ado, let me read Danielle Lawrence's bio. She was born and raised in Willingboro, New Jersey. She is an author, speaker, life coach with a focus on mental and emotional health. Her journey towards emotional mastery began through the challenges she faced in managing and maintaining her own emotions. This personal struggle fueled her desire to learn more, eventually leading her back to school, where she discovered how to synchronize mental awareness with emotional intelligence. This education was pivotal in helping her develop emotional maturity. Danielle realized that much of the inner turmoil and toxic responses she experienced stemmed from a lack of understanding her emotions. With the newfound insight, she authored a 31-day devotional journey titled Finding Emotional Maturity Through Emotional Awareness. Through her work, Danielle aims to guide others on their journey towards emotional growth and self-discovery. Without further ado, let me get her right on here. Hello, hello, Danielle. How are
Hey,
you today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Nick?
I am well, a little under the weather, but you just gave me some tips right before this call. So
Yep, yep.
I'm going to go pick that up. But I am so happy that you're here. Thank you for saying yes. Has been
Certainly.
a pleasure to have been able to connect with you on just one simple conversation, one simple need that you needed. And I was able to provide her resources and get what you were doing, what you wanted to have done in the timeline that you wanted.
Yes.
Um, just because of that, we have been able to grow and to step into this next season. So tell us a little bit more about who Danielle Lawrence is. So give us a little bit backstory.
Thank you so much, Nick. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it being in this space. So, again, as Nick said, my name is Danielle Lawrence. I am from Jersey. I am an author, a speaker, and a life coach in that order. Um, my journey began with me trying to recognize, how do I get out of this emotional box? I tried to hide it a long time through logic. Like, if I could logically reason some things out, then I don't have to face this emotion. And if I have to face the emotion, the problem will begin is, now I'm going to be chaotic and it's going to cause a lot of toxicity where I would then blow up. I only knew how to suppress, but I didn't know how to release.
Hmm.
So without me knowing how to release, this is now basically kind of wallowing over to like friendships, relationships, even within myself. Because when you're suppressing, you're actually carrying. And sometimes, a lot of times, what people don't understand, when you're carrying that emotion, You begin to physically, it physically starts to wear on you, whether you know it or not. That's where high blood pressure, like hypertension, blood, what's the sugar diabetes. That's where all that stuff comes from. And I was trying to figure out because I remember one time I was working out, and I've been working out like 4 or 5 times a week. Now I know I'm a big girl, but that's besides the point. But I was working out good, Nick. Like I was getting my steps in, walking. I was going to the gym doing strength training. And I'm like, why is my blood pressure still like 140 over like maybe 95, 96? And I'm on 2 blood pressure pills. I didn't understand it. And it really just came to me in that point, like, Danielle, you're doing too much. The other thing is, one time I was sitting down thinking, I was just having a spiritual conversation with God. And I was like, listen, because I like to align whatever I'm doing in my life, I like to align it to see if I'm, getting better or if I'm getting worse. What do I need to do to try to get this together? And one day, I'm telling you, Nick, I was having a whole conversation. I said, I'm really identifying my emotions really well. And then God was like, but you don't know how to manage them. But you don't know how to manage your emotions. So at that moment in time, I kind of had a duh type of moment with God. Like, how do you mean I don't know how to manage my emotions? If I'm identifying them, then I have to be managing them. And he's like, you're not managing them. You still don't know how to navigate through whatever you're feeling. You know how to identify if you're mad, angry. You know how to do all those, like most of us do. But what happens when you really have to sit down and really talk that emotion out? I could not. I didn't like doing it. A lot of it came from my childhood. So in my house, we didn't know how to express our emotions. It was one of those things that I see my parents argue all day, every day. And then one day, everybody just started talking again. So I adopted that same type of mechanism. So if anything was going on, it was like, okay, it's going to blow over. But how do you have something blow over? It's going to happen again. And that I didn't really realize till I actually actually got into a serious relationship. I'm like, we are going off on each other, but we going off about the same thing. And one thing I did not want to do ever is really emulate my parents' relationship. I always tell people my parents were good parents, but I don't think they were good lovers. I don't think they were good together. Like they was good parents. Like my parents was there for us, but when it came down to like their relationship, I was like, I will never want my relationship. And I always would tell my partner that I'm like, my latter years is not going to be how my parents had their relationship. And a lot of times, what we don't understand, we take a lot of those emotions because we think we're okay, Nick. We think at the end of the day, because we grew up, we now have a career, we making money, that we're okay. The favorite saying that you mostly hear most people say is, my parents whipped my behind, my parents did this, but and I'm okay. No, you're not.
Mm.
No, 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 no. What in some when now people say that now, I'm like, what makes you okay? Because you grown and you don't have nobody to answer to or nobody challenge your emotion. Because I promise you, if it's a child in the house, a child's always going to is always going to challenge your emotion. And if we are not careful as parents, what happens is we then spill that over to our children. Hence why I went back to school for parent-child relationships. Because now I'm like, wait a minute, some of the foolishness that I'm doing is like my dad, or is well, my mom, I didn't like my mom was different. My dad, he was different. My dad, he loved us. I would never take that away from my father. It's just that when it came down to the way that he spilled out his emotion, it was like it was either he was going to spank us, which is fine because we supposed to get spanked, but it would never be like a conversation without yelling. Our house did
Mm.
a lot of yelling. And with yelling, what people don't understand is that it causes a lot of dissension because no one's being heard. There's no understanding that's being bridged between anyone. So we're yelling out our emotions. We're saying how we feel, but at the end of the day, it's a whole bunch of flames, but there's no type of, nothing's resolving it.
Mm.
You're going off, I'm going off. I tell my partner now, only one of us can have the mic.
I love
Only one of us can have the mic. When she's telling me how she's feeling, that's my time to listen. It's not my time to interrupt and have a conversation, like, you know, try to say, well, if you did this. And that's what I saw. No one's resolving how to really get to the depth of understanding. And when you're in that type of, you know, inside that toxicity within yourself, you're not looking for understanding, honestly. You're looking how to just blow steam. And you don't really want to understand it. You just want to be heard to a point where whatever you have to say, whatever you have to do to make that person hear what you're saying, it doesn't, after that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you blew so much steam on that other individual where they feel like dirt afterwards, because sometimes we do that, that they feel like dirt afterwards. But if you got out what you said, everything's okay. That's not right.
Yeah. Oh
It,
my goodness.
it's a way to it. It's a way, like, it's a lot of patience with it. You have to, and a lot of understanding. There's things, one of my I have three core values. I call it the DOI. Is
I like
discipline.
it.
It's the DOI. Is discipline, obedience, and integrity. Discipline is one of the hardest things that we all have to do if we want to actually have a leadership mindset, because there are things that we're going to have to chisel away and subtract. But it's something that's going to give us some of our greatest results if we learn how to do what we need to do in the realm of discipline. And discipline is going to come with obedience, because there's going to be things that you don't want to do, or you might be fearful of wanting to do. Because one thing about having a leadership mindset is a pathway that we begin to walk once we get to that commitment of, this is what I feel like I need to be doing. So there are things in places of your life you're going to be tested. Friends that I had to let go. I was getting drunk every day, Nick. Every day in the bars, every day at one time in my life. It was a discipline of obedience for me. I had to pull that God, actually, I can't even say I did it. He had to pull me out of. You can't have no leadership. I mean, some people can. I don't think that it's going to be healthy, though, to be getting drunk every day and try to have a leadership mindset, because you're not sober minded.
Mm.
And then it's the integrity. What happens once I got drunk? What was I going to be doing? Who was I going to be flirting with? And I can't be doing that, Nick. So I live by that rule now. And it hurts. At some days it does, but it's still something that is part of my rule and my formula to keep myself in check.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for one, sharing your story, being vulnerable, giving us pieces. So there's a lot of things to kind of pull off the layers here. So first of all, I know the back end, right? I know what you've been working on, what you're about to put out there with this topic, and it's just going to be so powerful. How important was or is, because it's not gone, how important is it for you to make sure that this message is heard, but not just heard, amplified? Because I know there's so many children right now
Mm.
that are going through this, right? That can totally relate. They're suppressing their feelings, they're holding themselves back, and the things that they feel like they're not allowed to open up and share.
Yes.
So tell me, at what point in your life did that just switch for you, and how important is it?
It switched with me when I had to raise a daughter. And I was like, oof, I made some mistakes. So now my journey is, I see where I went wrong. Now I want to make it right with other parents and other people that might not be able to see. Because sometimes, as how we're raised, we're Gen X. So most of us was raised in what the baby boomers generation. And with that, we were not able to be heard. So the problem is, we come from the silent generation, which came up with children are supposed to be seen, not heard. Then the baby boomers come in at the what did the baby boom the baby boomers was used to do as you're told, not what you see. And now it's the Gen X. So now we're trying to raise this generation and generations to come in that same way. And this is why we honestly are in a depressed, I feel like, generation, because no one was ever heard. No one knew how to actually really say what they wanted to say with respect. So now when the kids come out or they say something, we feel like they're being disrespectful. Sometimes they're not being disrespectful. It's just the fact that they regurgitate where we were fearful to not say anything. So we would just act out in other ways. They do too, but they're more or less like, you gonna hear what I have to say, no matter how it comes out. So if they have no direction, this is what I learned with my daughter. I'm not giving you, or I'm not illustrating you direction on how to actually speak with this emotion. It's nothing wrong with you being upset. It's nothing wrong with you being frustrated. It's nothing wrong with you being sad. The problem now happens is, how are you going to express those emotions where you articulate it and convey it, where you are being heard and it's not sounding like clashing cymbals to my ears?
Mm.
Because
Mhm.
these kids, what will happen is you'll speak to them and kids will respect you. One thing I learned about kids, they actually like discipline. But when they don't see the discipline being illustrated in the parent, these kids now tell you, well, this is what you did.
Mm.
Where we said that, we would have got slapped.
Damn.
Yeah. And there would have been no ifs, ands, buts about it. Where these kids are like, no, you did it. And you have social media, we have AI. You say something to a child now, they'll come back to you and tell you what Google said. We didn't have that. We had our other peers that were going through the same thing that we were going through. So a part of us thought what we were going through was okay.
Mm.
These kids in this generation is like, no, what you're doing is not. And just because it's we're the parents, sometimes as adults, that authority comes out to make it seem like I'm right and you're wrong. When
Mm.
sometimes as the parent, we are wrong, but we won't become vulnerable to show the kids that, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have did it like that.
Mm.
Maybe I should have did another way. We're not even teaching our kids vulnerability
Mm.
because we weren't taught it.
Yeah.
So because our emotions now as parents, we're parents now. So now we're raising our kids the same way. And these kids, they like, no, now they're depressed.
Mm.
And so we try to raise them with medication
Mm.
and social media and bribery, so we can
Yes.
have them feel a certain type of way instead of really getting to the root cause.
Oh my God, that was like on the spot, like real talk. It's so true, right? And obviously our parents are getting younger as
Mhm.
well.
Yes.
And different how do you call it? Different perspectives, different ways we're
Mhm.
coming into this
Mhm.
space as far
Right.
as being a parent or being a step parent or being
Right.
an adopted parent, right? Because then you have those even tons of emotions on that where um when you're trying to be that figure and they're like, you're not my mom, you're not my dad, why do I
Yeah.
have to listen to you? And I was just watching that on a show this week, like just and there was a mental health diagnosis on top of that, right? And they didn't
Mm.
know that, but they started seeing the signs, like one minute you'll be happy, one minute you'll be upset. There's things that are triggered. And I feel like it's the lack of communication, the lack of, again, what you said, finding the root cause. What is causing you? And one thing, especially for my son, he's 19. And what drives me crazy is when I ask him a question, he says, I don't know. I said, well, take some time to think about it. Process when you were in that motion, making that decision. He's a great kid,
Right.
but we're not perfect, right?
Right. Right.
So when I give him that avenue to be able to just be upfront, tell me exactly what you're feeling, and then I'll have to kind of bring it out of him. And
Oh yeah.
having my mom as my friend who gave
Mhm.
me tons of freedom, and I was always felt the love. I don't know if I was just a rare child from somewhere else, but like I never gave her any lip. If she said 9 o'clock was the time you got to come home, then 9 o'clock was the time I got to come
Oh
home.
no.
So
Yeah, you
I'm
was
there at
definitely a rare
8:55,
child. You was rare. You was
right?
rare. You was
So
rare.
it's like sometimes you give them a foot, they take a mile. I think that's
Mhm.
something we've heard in the past. But it's not that they're bad children or that they're making bad choices. Is we
Right.
have to go back as parents and start reflecting on how have I raised the child? Am I speaking to them? Am I having time for them? Because that's really a lot of where it comes from.
Right.
And I get it, single moms, single dads, or parents that are always working because they want to give the children these lives
Mhm.
that they want. Um, and feel like they're obligated to do so because they didn't get it
Yes.
when they were growing up. So there's so many levels, and you have to peel off all those layers. And I love that that's a passion for you, that
Mhm.
you're really getting to the root cause of, let's make this right, right? Let the next generation, right? And our
Yeah.
children's generation have a little bit more of that open space to really do and be who they can be and what they're here to be, right?
Right.
Um, how is what is your viewpoint on those some of those topics that you shared about do as I say, not as you see, right? Or
Mhm.
like,
It's wrong.
can you share an experience with someone that you had that conversation with? And how were you able to advise them to really see it in a different perspective, whether it was a parent?
Well, first of all, with that being said, we have to first recognize where we are unhealthy, because a lot of times we are in spaces where we're unhealthy in certain mindsets, and we have certain hurt that we are just because as we get older, we learn how to carry burdens instead of release them, because we're now in the state of survival. Now we're in a state of surviving life, especially when you're a single mother or you're a single father or whatever have you. So now what happens is, because you're now in survival mode, you don't know that you're even sometimes carrying these unhealthy emotions that you're transferring over to your child. And you're telling your child, do not do as you see, but do as you're told. But because we live in a generation that only goes by the eye gate of what they see, we was the type of children where we'd be like, oh, my parents are bugging, and we'll just go about the business. But what we don't understand is, even in that realm, because we are living with that parent, we are, whether we know it consciously or subconsciously, we are gleaning off of what we are learning, where these kids are just like, listen, this is what you're doing. And if you're a parent that wants to live in that limelight, that in that bubble, you're going to have a rude awakening, because the child is ultimately going to pick up. Because the unfortunate thing is, the society that we live in, half of the kids are doing what the adults are doing. You see twerking, they ain't kids that's doing that. That's us that started that. Smoking
Mm,
drugs and do it, we started that, and we're doing it in front of the kids and making it look like it's cool.
mm,
We're taking our release and thinking that whatever our release is when we're partying, and we're now allowing our kids to see what we're doing and saying, listen, whether again, consciously or subconsciously, you're going to do what I'm doing. This is why we have generational patterns, because the pattern then becomes connected when the child's like, well, this is what my mom was doing. This is what my dad was doing. Remember back in the day, that commercial when the little boy was like, I got it from watching you, Dad.
mm.
We laughed. Oh God, that was a commercial that we all laughed about, but it was so true.
Mhm.
You can't expect a child, especially now. It's like when even mammals and animals are born, they glean off the parent. That's all you see. That's why
Mm,
the connection is so strong. You got 23 chromosomes in each parent. They're going to take that DNA, they're going to run with it. Either it's going to enhance a problem, or you're going to teach the child the generational pattern that you have is not right, so you can get it in line with the next generation. That's when we have generational curses. How are you going to be the one that breaks it? But
mm,
parents that live in that bubble of thinking that, do as I say, not do what you're told, not what you see, not in this generation. This Because this generation is too broken.
yeah.
So when parents or anybody comes to me and say that, I tell them from the door, you're not seeing the big picture, because your mindset is in a tradition that has been expired.
Mm,
You're living in something that is not going, because what your child sees from you enhances once they see the TV when you're not giving them the time,
mm.
that they see on
Yep.
social media when you don't give them the time, when you're not giving them that affection. these phones have more than we can ever, as Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Yes. I know I can't live without it. My work, everything is on there, right?
So take that, Nick. You, as a responsible adult with the mindset that you have, knows what you're going to do with the phone. But if you take a corruptible child that does not know what to do with the phone, that has nothing but time, and they're around other kids that have nothing but time, they are now in Christopher Columbus mode of exploring.
Mm-hmm.
You have everything in this one phone. So social media is supposed to be really a platform where you actually build a network on a level of what we're doing. But everything that we build has another side to it that we are sometimes blinded by when it comes to kids. The same way we supposed to be using the platform for what we need to use the platform for is the same reason why they're using it, just not in the same way.
Mm.
And as parents, these are the things that you know your children are going to get into things, but these are the talks. This is the time. This is where you have to look at yourself as a parent, say, what do I need to do to become healthier for my child? So they emulate this instead of that.
Powerful. On that note, that was a mic drop. On that note, we're going to a quick break and we're going to come back with Danielle Lawrence as she is going to give us some more gems and we're going to talk about some upcoming things she has going on. So just a moment.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JASCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
I love it.
Yes, that was our official business launch last year, May of 2022. Well, 2023. And we're about to take that on tour May of 2025. So can't wait to have you all there. Wow, Danielle, you have been just bringing some amazing conversation to building a leadership mindset. And I love how you drop the mindset, right? Throughout your talk and really share, because it really starts there.
Mhm.
It really starts with asking yourself those questions and really reflecting on what is it we're putting out there? What example are we leading? Not just in family, but this also goes into business. This also
Right.
goes into friendships, relationships, partnerships,
Right.
all of those things.
Right.
And it's so important that you're bringing this level of awareness, because I think it's long overdue, right?
Mhm.
I truly believe it's been like an ongoing battle to really figure out what's the best way to bring down our mental health numbers, to bring down
Yeah.
our depression rate, to bring down our suicide rate. All of
Yes.
this matters. And I just know that what you're putting together is going to touch those lives, and they need to be touched more than you know. And God is placing
Mm.
you in that position to be able to do so. Tell us about your books and your upcoming book as well on this particular topic.
Okay, so the first one, as you stated in my bio, finding emotional maturity through emotional awareness. That's a 31-day devotional journal. That specific journal is for us to unlearn unhealthy emotions from our past, so we could start there. And there are different like inserts that a person can read when the reader can read. And then it's like a self-reflection work to challenge them with a question for them to write. Where did the root cause start from? Where did the trauma begin? And things of that nature. The second one is I am into anthologies. Yes, Miss Nikki, BALM Global. Yes. The first one is Everyday Hero. And the second one is Taking Off the Shades. I cannot wait. Those are going to be awesome. I cannot wait for those. And the third one, I'm actually in the writing right now called In Hiding Behind the Mirror. That one is going to be about me hiding myself, my sexuality in love, and now getting the courage to come out the closet because I came from, a very strict Christian household. So now I'm trying to figure out my way in this world. And there was a lot of, courage that I had to actually take, that emotionally I did not make all the right decisions. So that's what I have upcoming now. And I do have the engagement November 16th. Again, with Global second anniversary, come through, pull up, get the ticket. Listen, it's going to be me and other powerful speakers there that I cannot wait to connect with. November 16th of 2024. So listen, you still got time. Come through.
Yes, yes, yes. And talk about so the story that you just said that you're working on that's coming up, and this is also a topic where people are not ready to share who they are. Whatever it is that we are holding back, because everybody's holding back something. If we're not in our
Right.
purpose on purpose, we're holding something back, or something is holding us back.
Right.
Right. Again, love the title, love this process. When should we expect it?
Hiding Behind the Mirror. That's the
Mhm.
specific book. That one I am looking the date January 2025. That's going to come out. That's for the new year. That's the new project. And I really think this specific book is going to really help. I said, God, why would you pick me for this? I'm be honest. I said, why would you pick me for this? But I think it's something that I know that we talk about. Let me get this clear. We talk about homosexuality, but we really don't get to the root cause of certain things and emotions that go with it. Like I always tell people, culturally speaking, when a child is going through homosexuality, it's the child first. So you banding and you having hate conversation, you're still putting it on a mind that's not developed.
Mm,
So how do you think that child is now going to develop if they are afraid of one, society, and two, you're putting it in a way where they don't understand religion and God yet, because relationship with God comes later on in life. So if you're from a religious background, the only thing you hear is the hate, hate, hate. You don't hear really like, wait a minute, let's talk about what's going on instead of just pushing out so many disliked human emotions, because
mm.
human emotions, they're not godly emotions. They're not. So I really think that this book, like I said, I don't know why he picked me, because I'll be honest, I would not think that I would actually write a book like this, but I think it needs to be spoken of. I really do, especially for children
I
and
agree.
adults.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I think they need to be aware of what the causes that their beliefs pushing on our children are. And you know what, even when it comes to like diagnosis and things
Yeah,
like that, I don't agree on labels, period. Don't
I
ever
get
put a
you on that
label
one.
on me. I am Nikki Questa. I am a child of God,
Yeah,
and all that
period.
good stuff, right? And whatever my life choices are, is the only one I have to answer is to him.
The end. But you see how we have that at this age.
Yes.
I didn't have that at 13 or 12. I'm trying to figure it out. And this is why a lot of the gay community, to be honest with you, they run to substance abuse. And the number on suicide is, I mean, the number on suicide is crazy anyway, but with the LGBT, this has always been something that has been high risk in the LGBT community because you're now living a lie, or you have to go into basically a heterosexual relationship to hide who you are. It's so many nuances to
Yeah.
when we're talking about this. I mean, I know so many people that I have a friend that went and got married, have 3 kids, just to come out and be like, this is who I am. I said, you did a lot. You did a lot, but you did what needed to be done at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like channel the love in whatever we do. And it doesn't have to just speak to homosexuality. It could be anything. Channel the love in what we need to do and the grace.
Absolutely.
And as we channel those two in, let God be the judge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that just goes, and the reason why I bring that the subject up of labels is because my son was diagnosed with Asperger's, autism at the age, I think he was in 3rd grade. And I had to make a choice. Am I going to tell my son that this is what they're, labeling him as, like his character, his personality, who he is? And I chose not to. He didn't find out until he was 16. I allowed him to be everything and anything he wanted to be as he was growing, having him make his own decisions.
Right.
Of course, supporting, guiding from the back end, but not giving him a crutch to walk in this world. Like, we should be able to be free and not have any labels put on us and be seen as a human as we are,
That's
as
smart,
in
Nick.
his image, right? In God's image. So again, I just love this conversation. I think we need to have panels 2025. We need to put something together. I got some ideas that are just downloading right here, right now.
I see how your brain working. I see it working. I see it working.
I'm not going to give any secrets right now, but we're definitely going to come back and talk about that. But how can people get a hold of you? What are you working on right now?
Right now, like I said, it's the books right now. It's like my main focus. And just the speaking engagement that's coming up actually this upcoming month, November. People can contact me on my IG. That's at DLawsCode. That's DLAWSCODE. Facebook, Danielle Lawrence, as you see it written right there. And also TikTok, I was at DLawsCode as well. I have videos also there, and my website, www.love-because.com.
Oh my goodness, I love that. And I had my Love is Love shirt on yesterday. I should have put it on today.
Gotta love. Gotta love it. I'm telling you, gotta love through it. Once you love through it, a lot comes through love, then anger.
Absolutely. So give us one last tip about how to really channel our emotions and really spend time in that silence and really trying to figure out what's really going on. What are some tips that you can lead us towards if we're feeling in that space?
First, I would say we still have to identify the emotion and also the thoughts that come with the emotion. Because a lot of times when we go through certain emotions, certain other thoughts start coming. We need to also ask ourselves, is this emotion coming from now, or is this emotion coming from my past? Challenge the emotion. So you know what emotion you're dealing with. Because if you have several emotions at one specific time, it's going to be a catastrophic failure. We have to identify at that time and challenge the emotion at that time, so we then can navigate through it and figure out, how do I get through this thought? Whether you have to go to therapy, or maybe it might be something as easy, pick up a book or call a friend. But you have to get to that root cause of challenging what you're feeling and where it's coming from.
Perfect. I love that, because again, without one identifying, right? What are we working towards? Sometimes we feel like we don't have any issues. We don't have any problems.
We've all been there.
By, we wake up, we feel good. We don't have headaches. Our body's not hurting. But then we're triggered, right? It's that trigger. It's that one conversation. It's that one song you hear. It's that smell. It's that the visual of someone else in an argument, or someone saying something. All of those things, and you have to be prepared with those tools to be able to channel them, to face them, And to
You got to
overcome.
challenge it. You got to challenge it.
Absolutely.
Challenge
Absolutely.
the
So
notion.
definitely pick up. How can people get your devotional?
Oh, you can get on Amazon .com. You can either look up Danielle Lawrence or the book. Matter of fact, since we're here you go. Boom. You can, so you know what it looks like too. There goes the name, Finding Emotional Maturity Through Emotional Awareness. You can get it on Amazon.com, like I said, or my name, if you're in the New Jersey area, it's also at a bookstore called Ren's Coffee House off of Black Horse Pike.
Nice. So we'll definitely get those details. We will definitely have them in the show notes. Danielle, you've been absolutely phenomenal, as you always do. And I just have to shout out your speech at the When Women Empower that we just had on September 28th. You were absolutely on fire. And tell us what those that will be in attendance November 16th, what they should look for.
Oh, it's going to be powerful. It's going off the theme, actually, what you said, building leadership mindset and what it looks like, what the start of building a leadership mindset is and how the process and the journey looks like. But it's going to be a rocky road, but it's going to be worth the battle once you get to the end.
I can't wait. Excited. I'm excited. There you have it. Danielle Lawrence, you're absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much, one, for believing in both Tiffany and I on this journey and being able to lock arms with us and walk on this movement and bring these type of topics to everyone, right? To all the women and men that we're trying to reach, because at the end of the day, what we want to do is just live our life in purpose. And one thing I wanted to say before was that when we have to hide who and what we are and what we want to do, then we're definitely not living in integrity.
Facts.
And if that's the first core value that anyone in this world has, then they need to let people live in their truth.
Yes. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki, for having me. Bless you.
All of our viewers, thank you so much for continuing to support and watch, like, comment, share. And like I always say, make it count. Have a good one, everyone.
Bless you. Bye-bye.